I promise you, when you change your perspective, you change your life. Let's talk about the real power of the mind. From the time I was too little to even understand what was going on, I know because my grandpa told me, and until my early 20s, I struggled with debilitating anxiety attacks. And for me, the triggers were when someone or something I felt was trying to cross a boundary, like I didn't have control. So these things made me feel like I wasn't safe. For example, if I was around a lot of people or on a plane. If I'm on a plane, I have no control over when I get off the plane. And that made me feel trapped and stuck. And I didn't like that feeling. I still don't. And if there were a lot of people around, well, I can't control what other people do. So am I safe in this environment? So I don't have anxiety attacks anymore, and I'll share how I overcame them. But to this day, I'm not comfortable feeling stuck. I go to great lengths to create an environment for myself where I feel comfortable, in control. The fear of being trapped, of not having control, I know where it comes from. For me, it comes from growing up in a household where I was punished and even ignored for trying to assert myself or trying to establish those healthy boundaries. So emotionally, I didn't feel safe because basically I was not accepted by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. And not only was I not accepted, I was punished for trying to be myself. Even as little kids, we began to try to establish boundaries, and this is healthy and it's so important. So I began to have these attacks from a very young age. The first one I actually remember was when I was about 6 years old. And what would happen is I would start getting nervous, and then my heart would start racing, and then I would get dizzy, hot, nauseous. And then if the attack escalated, I would become drenched in a cold sweat. I would throw up. And then the thing that I feared most would happen: complete loss of control. I would pass out, unconscious. And it all started in the mind because I wasn't in any physical danger. I was safe. And even when I fainted, I still wasn't in danger. I mean, nothing bad other than the traumatic experience happened. I mean, people didn't hurt me while I was unconscious. They came to help me. And I didn't die. I just woke up. So nearing the height of my anxiety, I was 21, 22 years old. And at this point, I was terrified. I was terrified of flying, of going to the doctor. I mean, if they're going to stick a needle in my arm, that's crossing a boundary. And I'm scared. You know, I still am, if I'm being honest. I get scared to go to the doctor to this day. My senior year in college, my anxiety grew to the point where one day I was afraid to leave my apartment for fear that I would have a panic attack in public. I was now getting triggered all the time, like even in the college classroom during lectures. So I kept getting up to go to the bathroom, and I know I was irritating the professor, but I was just so afraid I was going to have an episode in front of 70 people. And at least if it happened in the bathroom behind the stall, no one would see. And so guess what happened every time I escaped to the bathroom for fear that I might have a panic attack? The panic went away, and the worst of the attack never happened. I would lay down on the cold tile floor because I was hot, and I would put my legs up on the door to get the blood flowing back to my brain more easily. And I'm sure that these things helped, but what actually stopped me from fainting was my mind. The fear dissipated because nobody was around to see, so who cares? I knew that if it happened, I would just wake up. And the very thing that started to heal my panic attack was a shift in my perspective, because until the day that I was too afraid to leave my apartment, I didn't think it was possible to overcome this. But on that day, I decided I would find a way. And I observed that never once had I fainted behind the safety of the bathroom stall because the fear went away. So I started to think, what if I could make the fear go away in public? And I started to test my theory by distracting my mind, by shifting my focus whenever I felt triggered. Instead of running to the bathroom, I would focus on my breath, and I would really focus my attention on my surroundings. And it took consistent, conscious effort, but it worked. Once I believed it was possible, I overcame a nearly 20-year battle in about 3 weeks. I healed my anxiety attacks, and I don't remember the last time I fainted. That is how powerful the mind is. It could bring me to the thing that I feared most complete loss of control over my physical body, which if you peel back the layers, if I peel back the layers, that wasn't the real fear. It was the loss of love and acceptance because of how bad I felt as a kid. You know, if I acted like myself, strong, assertive, speaking up when something wasn't right, the love got taken away. Literally, I got grounded so many times and stuck in my room for weeks, months at a time. And during that time, nobody would speak to me. I mean, I would go to school, field hockey practice, I would come down to eat dinner and clean the house. Thanks for that. But I wasn't allowed to see my friends, and my family wouldn't speak to me until I apologized over and over and over, you know, profusely for myself, even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. It was like they were trying to break my spirit because they didn't understand me. On the flip side, my mind also is so strong that it believes I will achieve whatever I set my mind to, and therefore I do. And this is the same secret that everybody who achieves their goals adopts. The mind is so powerful. It takes you where it is focusing. So it took me to my lowest of lows for many years, sad, depressed, even knocked unconscious, but it also brought me out of that. And it continues to take me wherever I want to go. So with each risk I take, and I take big ones in my life and in my career, my mind doesn't give me the option to fail. I'm not even considering it. And so I don't. And your mind is the same. It will take you where you're focusing. If you get really honest with yourself about what it is you truly want and you do the work and you believe that you will achieve, you will. Your mind is your most powerful asset and you can control its focus. And that is a superpower. I promise you, when you change your perspective, you change your life.